All right, good morning. It is Wednesday, August 3rd, and that can only mean one thing. Pardon me, Wednesday, August 4th at 9 a.m. It can be one thing, and that means we're here for our episode of On the Phone. I'm excited for today's guest because in addition to being a super successful business person and a huge philanthropist, he also has an amazing story to share with us today, how he went literally from living in his car to building an amazing business that serves thousands and thousands of companies. So we're going to learn all about this and how he grew to success on today's version of On the Phone. All righty. Good morning. Good to have you here with us today. Today's guest is Kevin Hodes. Kevin, good morning. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Wally. How the heck are you doing?
I'm the heck fine, thank you, and I appreciate you joining me here today. So I've known Kevin for a few years. We've been a part of a couple of business networking groups before, and it's funny that I remember, excuse me, the first time I met you was at Joe's Pizza in Frisco. I forget what car you were driving at the time, but I'm like, well, that's a nice car. What do you do? And you gave me your Swypit business card. And then a couple of years ago, I ran up to you at the Duluth, whatever that clothing company is. And
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yep. And you had your McLaren with your son. And I'm like, hey, that's a nice car. What do you do? I'm like, wait, I've already met you before. And then so we've connected since then, which is great. So let me tell folks just a little bit about you, and then we'll get into the meat of the event here. So Kevin's from New Jersey, New York. New Jersey. Oh, I'm sorry, New York. Right. Sorry. You went to school in
they're kind of close.
Yeah, no, my bad. I'm sorry. I meant New York. I'm sorry. I had it written down here. Right. So anyway, he is a proud graduate of Sullivan County Community College.
Oh yeah, great college.
Yep. And you also went to the CIA and actually became a chef, and you were a chef on yachts and boats for high end folks. And then you got laid off, and your home was your Pontiac that you had owned that just purchased was from 87, 88, correct?
Yeah, it was a 87 Grand Am.
Yep, fine car.
Yeah.
Fine car. And so, and then basically, working around all those wealthy folks and whatnot kind of made you think a little bit about what you wanted to do and where you wanted to go. And then you've kind of built yourself up into now where you've got on the company Swypit, which processes hundreds of millions of dollars in transactions a year. Are you just national or are you international?
Totally national.
Totally national. So US based. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. But Kevin has not forgotten where he's come from. He's a huge philanthropist. And in addition to donating from his assets, he also has worked on a program called Folds of Honor, which was a documentary for which he owned part of Anemone. And he's going to talk a little about Folds of Honor today, because that is a huge passion project for him. And he's also written 4 books, the 4th one of which is coming out, co-authored with Brian Tracy, called Leverage. He also helped produce a documentary with Jay Abraham, where he did a video version of Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got, which is a great book that he wrote years back. And he's also an executive producer for Maximum Achievement with Brian Tracy. So welcome, Kevin Hodes. Good to have you here today, man. You are a well-traveled individual.
Wow. No, thank you for having me on the show, Wally. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. So, my goal on the show, we work with, we work with lots of folks. Our goal is to educate and inspire people. We focus on helping people overcome procrastination, self-sabotage, call reluctance, and things that are keeping them from really living their best life. And so I like to have people like you on the show because you have overcome some serious odds. You've had some huge challenges in your life. And not only have you overcome those odds, but you've succeeded in grand proportions. So I love having folks like you on here. So go ahead and tell us, New York, we talked about that. I'm from Brooklyn. You're from?
Brooklyn and upstate.
Right. Yep. Okay. Yep. So you started in Brooklyn, and then you went to Sullivan County Community College, and then you went to the CIA. So kind of talk about that path and kind of how you got there to begin with.
Let's clarify a couple things for people, just in case if people are fact checking stuff. And I know because nobody really understands how things necessarily work with the colleges and everything. But let me explain. So born in Brooklyn, parents divorced. Mom moved to Kansas City, Missouri. Dad stayed in New York. I went to Missouri for a while, moved back to live with my father. My father moved upstate. I went to high school upstate, went to Sullivan County Community College for their food service program. Did not go to CIA. I would love to have gone to CIA, but it was a long wait, and I didn't want to wait
Oh,
because
well, there are professors there. I'm sorry, there are professors from the CIA at Sullivan
yes,
County. Okay,
yeah. In fact,
my bad.
Mr.
My
Professor
bad.
Cameron also taught at CIA. So when he was over at the CIA, he moonlighted. You know, I mean, these are professors. They're looking. They probably worked 2 other jobs. Who knows? They were probably working at restaurants, cooking for all I know, and I don't even know that. But
Right.
you know, like my dad was a prison guard, and he worked at, you know, even though he was a prison guard, he had a locksmith business. He had a landscaping business. You know, people do what they can do to make a living. My stepdad, he, you know, was a mechanic for TWA in Kansas City, and he also had a carpet cleaning company called How to Shells Carpet Cleaning. So I mean, I have literally done carpets. I've done landscaping. I have, you know, been wherever my parents were, and I learned a work ethic. And that work ethic really drove me to be successful because you got to do what you have to do to survive, right?
Yep, absolutely. I apologize for the misinformation.
No big deal.
I
There's
did
a
my
lot of
research.
stuff out there about me, so people,
I
who
do
knows
apologize.
what people think. You know,
That's
next thing you know, they're going to think I was the owner of the yachts.
You weren't?
Never
No?
gonna be. Never
No.
gonna be.
What do they say? A
Too
boat
much,
is just
way
a
too
hole in
much
the
money
water?
for those people.
Yeah. What do they say? A boat is just a hole in the water you throw money into, right? So,
Yeah, they do.
indeed. Cool.
Very
So,
expensive.
awesome. So let's kind of talk about your culinary experience and just real briefly about how you were a chef on yachts and all of a sudden kind of got the carpet pulled out from under you. How'd that go? Or how'd that
Yeah.
happen?
So
Okay.
here, let's tell the actual way it worked. And while I was at Sullivan County Community College, a fella came and he was recruiting because he was also a graduate of Sullivan. Now, Sullivan had a unbelievable food service program way back when. So, like a lot of people would in New York would go to either CIA, Johnson and Wales, or they'd go to Sullivan. So I picked Sullivan because it was closer to home, and I couldn't afford to go and stay in housing and all that other baloney. So I actually drove all the way to college every day. And then when I got done, I worked at a pizza joint in Kingston, New York, and I delivered pizzas. I made sandwiches. And what's interesting is all these years later, that pizza place is actually my customer now. We can go into that another story. But I worked at McDonald's. I worked at Mohonk Mountain House, which if anybody's listening and they know what Mohonk is, it is an unbelievable place. Mohonk is an Indian word that means lake in the sky. It is absolutely phenomenally beautiful. They have this huge glacier-like water thing up there. It is so cool to be there. It was started by two. It was actually a brothel, and it was purchased back in the late 1800s or early 1900s by the Smiley brothers, and they were Quakers, and they turned the entire place into this wonderful, beautiful resort that even Stephen King used to do his big yearly event there. And I think after he had his car accident or whatever happened when he almost died, I think they stopped doing it. But I mean, unbelievable place to groom yourself, learn how to, you know, work in certain atmospheres between working for a small business owner, working for a large, you know, corporate entity, even though it was, you know, a huge national resort. I think it's a 5-star or 4-star place. Anybody can look it up. I mean, obviously McDonald's, corporate entity, giving training on how to meticulously do things. I actually, I think everybody should go work at McDonald's. I loved working there. I mean, I love French fries. Let's see, I had Whataburger yesterday for lunch, but McDonald's fries are absolutely the best. And so, you know, once that fella, I can't remember his name, I'm trying to remember, chef. Anyways, he came to Sullivan and he says, "Hey, we've got this resort. It's in McAfee, New Jersey. It's called Great Gorge Mountain View Resort. It was the old Playboy Club that was turned into this resort type place. I lived on premises. I was there working. I was having a great time. I was learning a number of things. I mean, it was interesting because I would run into celebrities there that were there. They filmed a movie with Gene Wilder and who is the black comedian?
Richard Pryor?
No, was it Richard Pryor?
Are you talking about
Was it Richard Pryor?
yeah,
There's It was See No Evil, Hear No Evil, I think was the
Oh,
movie.
okay. Thought it
You
was
know,
Richard
maybe
Pryor.
somebody there can look it up and see. But anyways, they filmed it at that resort. And
Mhm.
so, it's interesting what was happening at that resort. And all of a sudden, here's a cool little fact. I haven't told too many people about the resort. Tom Cruise, his sister worked there. And I didn't even know he had a sister. So one day, Tom Cruise is walking through the kitchen. And I'm like, what? Who was? Wait a minute, what? And then somebody goes, oh, you didn't know that's Tom Cruise's sister. And then, I mean, it was only a few weeks later that that place closed down. After it closed down, that's when I was literally living in my car. So now here I am in New Jersey, North Jersey. I'm across from Action Park, which was like the most dangerous, like water place to go. I mean, people were drowning there. You can go and look up Action Park and Google it. Dangerous water park, Action Park, man. There's tons of videos of people there. It was insane. And I tell people all the time, hey, do you remember Action Park? They go, oh, heck yeah.
Right.
I said, I worked across the street. And they go, oh, okay. So
Oh, that's funny.
it was really a great experience there. And then here I am. I'm in my car. I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I was lucky enough to still be able to like work. I say work. It wasn't work. It was look for work. So in Jersey, because I was working there long enough, I was able to apply for unemployment. So I had no money. I had nothing coming in. My car payment was $277.72. I just bought this thing like 8 months, a year prior. I'm like, okay, this is the only place I can live in. At least it's kind of cool looking. And I kind of did that. And I told my parents many, many years later, they said, you should have come home. And I go, I couldn't go back to where there really wasn't as much of an opportunity for me.
Mhm.
But what I did for a short period of time was I kind of couch surfed, if anybody knows what couch surfing is,
Mhm.
and got my sister to let me sleep on her couch, and then she kicked me out, and I got my own place for $400 a month. I wound
Mhm.
up working some food service jobs in New York City, and one of those food service jobs was in I went to work for Pizza Hut in Ozone Park, Queens. And
Ozone
then
Park.
I went to a contract food service company called the Chapin School in New York City at 84th and East End, where some of the
Mhm.
wealthiest kids in America, their kids went to school. Donald Trump's daughter, as everybody knows, Ivanka went to school there. And I would see Donald there all the time. I'd go up the elevator, I'd see him. The guy was tall, man. Have you ever seen Donald Trump? That guy's tall.
Yeah.
I'm only 5'1", so everybody's taller than me. So here we got, Chapin School. But what happens is that work ethic that I was ingrained in me about having numerous jobs. I also had some extra jobs, and one of those was working on Pier 62 at a company called World Yacht, and that was on the weekends. So I would work at World Yacht, and we were 5 boats that went around dinner cruising, lunch cruising, and it was a lot of fun. But it was great. But what were right next to it were a whole bunch of very large private yachts that I'd walk past going, wow, that would be really cool one day. And I happened to be standing on the corner of West 23rd and 10th or 11th Avenue. I can't remember which one it was.
Mhm.
And this guy taps me on my shoulder and he says, are you a chef? And I look at him and I'm wearing my chef outfit and I go, what gave it away? And he goes, I want you to come and work with us. And I go, who are you? And it turned out to be this guy named Francis. And Francis, he gave me the card, and he was one of the guys that was the chef or executive chef, or what I don't remember his title,
Mhm.
for the Cajun Princess. The Cajun Princess was Al Copeland's private yacht. It was a 100-foot yacht that he would charter out, because when these wealthy people that own private yachts, they're looking to look for ways to offset the cost, right?
Mhm.
So Al Copeland, who owned Popeye's Famous Fried Chicken, he had just purchased churches. He owned Copeland's restaurants, and occasionally Al would come on. But while it was there in Doctor New York, we would do all
Right.
these private charters.
Mhm.
Well, there was the Mariner 3, which is owned by Sean Kennedy. I'm still good friends with Sean. and then there was the Aegean Princess, and then there was the Highlander. The Highlander was Malcolm Forbes' private yacht. Now, Malcolm used to come onto the. Go ahead.
Small boat.
Yeah, very small. It had a small helicopter on it with small Donzies, small motors. He had Harley Davidson.
Oh my goodness.
Two of them. He had two Donzies, two Harleys, one helicopter. You can Google Malcolm Forbes Highlander, and you'll see how big this green monster was. It was a Fed ship, which is a world-class, world-toting boat. I mean, unbelievable. So, had priceless artwork on it.
Right.
Being able to work on these private yachts was all started because of Francis. And then Francis says to me, he was from Biloxi, Mississippi. He goes, "Hey, Kev, let's go down to Biloxi, and we're going to take the Aegean Princess, which was 100 foot, and we're going to turn it into a restaurant, and we're going to dock it next to casinos." And I'm like, "Dude, I've never been to Mississippi." And he goes, "You're going to love it." So here I am, this kid from Brooklyn, living in Manhattan. I quit everything, go down there. And I remember what my father told me. He says, "Remember this, you can always come home. Doesn't matter where you go, you can always come home." So it gave me and made me feel free to actually go and try and do something new. So like people are always afraid to really try and do something new. And I always kind of stayed with me for many years. And hey, well, I mean, I could always fall back to this, right?
Right.
So now down in Mississippi, we've got the Aegean Princess. We're making some money, having some fun. But man, I wasn't having too much fun because I was working like 7 days a week. So Francis and I kind of parted ways. We're still friends. I love Francis to death. He's a good friend. He, still does his cooking stuff. I got out, and I went to New Orleans and I talked to Dougie, who is the captain of the of the Cajun Princess at the time. And I said, "Hey, do you know anybody that's looking for a personal chef on their yachts?" And he says, "You know what? I do." I went and interviewed. They saw my resume. They saw that I worked at the Chapin School. They loved what I did. And I was now on an interview process of going up the Mississippi River, doing corporate charters for Senator Trent Lott on this boat with the owners, because they were friends with these politicians. That's where their life was. Well, we had a crew that didn't really want to have anybody coming in and messing with things. So, of course, they were doing everything in their power to get rid of me before I get hired. They would leave me at the movies. They would take the car so I couldn't get groceries. They would do all these crazy things to do anything.
Wow.
The owners of the boat actually had told me that their crew members that were on thin ice were constantly doing things.
I wonder why.
Yeah, constantly doing things to get rid of chefs. Now, I was the first chef that they had actually hired that was well enough that they wanted on the boat full time. So they always said, "Hey, if anything happens, just let us know." I said, "Listen, I'm from New York. I'm pretty thick-skinned. I'm not really worried about it." And then I came on the boat, and we were, going all over, up and down the East Coast. I was having a great time, diving for food and fresh seafood. It was a really awesome experience. I mean, I've learned incredible things from these business owners, and these when I say business owners, I'm talking about how when you own a yacht and I'm going to bake you some cookies and I'm going to put them in front of you and we're headed to the Bahamas and there's no place else to go. And you go, "Hey, so how did you do all this?" You would be surprised how much people are willing to tell you. And I relish those days. It was a really good time. And
so it's kind of like going to school, right? In a way, like going to school.
For sure.
Like, yeah,
absolutely.
Over a period of time. So just for perspective, before you launch into the next phase of your career, what's the time frame here? What year are we at?
Let's see here. This was 90, 91, 92, 93, in that vicinity.
A couple of
94.
Ago. Okay.
Yeah. It was last week or so.
Okay. So what compelled? I'm sorry. Go ahead. You go.
I'm going to finish this one up here before I get into the transition into the career stuff. I got to add this because it's really important to how my life is today.
Yep.
It's an aspect. It was the beginning that I didn't realize how much it was the beginning of who I became. Some certain things here, but I'll explain it.
No, go ahead.
While I was working on that boat with these terrible people that were trying to do everything in their power, we were in New Jersey, and I was talking on a payphone to my mother, and I got attacked by one of the crew members who happened to be the captain's wife. And she was like hitting me.
His wife?
Yeah,
His wife?
right. Yeah, she thought she was a better
I don't
chef.
mean to laugh. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. Listen,
astounding.
I was like, what the hell? So they were trying to get me fired for, they aggressively came after me. They were trying to figure out ways to get rid of me. They would give me lists. When you have an unlimited budget on a private yacht, you bought anything you wanted to cook. So I had a list of food and items that I was preparing for the owners. I was preparing my own meals, and then I was preparing a separate meal for the crew. Right. So I was literally cooking like crazy, different things. And this list that they gave me were items I was like, I'm not eating that crap. Are you out of your mind? So they thought I was trying to poison them. So they were like, when she attacked me, like, you're trying to poison us.
Wow.
I was like, what? So that's when I went back on, things got physical, right? So you can leave me and I could figure out how to get back from the movies. You can create, ways for me to almost get back on the boat with groceries that are needed for the trip that we're on. You could do all that stuff for me. I can live through all that. But when you get physical and you're living in the same quarters of those people and you're locking your door, afraid somebody might stab you one night, what do you do, right? So I walked in. I said, hey, listen, I'm done. It's become to a point where it's physical now. You're going to put me up in that hotel over there that's called the Trump Plaza Casino or whatever the hell it was in Atlantic City. And you're going to pay me my full year's salary and I'm going to be bye-bye. And he goes, whoa, wait a minute. Go down to your stateroom. I'm going to talk to them. And then I never saw that person again. Literally, he came knocking on my door and he says, hey, listen, Kevin, this is what's happening. She's gone. You're staying. And then I need to know, do you know anybody that's a captain of a boat? And I said, you know what? I just might. So I called up my buddy, Mark, who was in Alaska at the time. He and I were working on some of these other yachts in New York City off Pier 62. Right. He helped bring the Aegean Princess from New York to Mississippi. And we lived in Mississippi together for that brief period of time there. Right. Now, Mark is in Alaska, and he says to this girl, hey, listen, I'm going to take a job in, it's on this boat called the Christina, and the Christina is going to need you. And so she's like, oh, I don't know. So he comes on board. I called him from Baltimore. He comes on in Washington, D.C. Let me tell you, the balls of the owner of this, he had the old captain drive to the airport to pick up the new captain. I can't imagine what that conversation was between the old captain and the new captain.
Bringing your replacement to work.
Wow.
Wow.
Mark comes on board the boat, and I watch Richard walking off the boat. It was unbelievable. It was like, cha-ching, get rid of these people. How, payback's a bitch, I mean, I wasn't doing anything to get them fired. I mean, they were doing everything in the power to get rid of me.
You reap what you sow.
Yeah, right. So now I get Mark calls up that girl and says, okay, I need to come on board the boat. She comes on the boat in South or North Carolina. I can't remember. I should know that. I shouldn't say that. Anyways, she comes on the boat, and that woman is now my wife since 1997. We got married in 1997. So that's why I wanted to kind of finish.
I got it. It makes complete sense. Yeah. So you guys are married for 24 years. Congratulations. 25 coming up. Good for you, man. All right. So it's 1997. What's the transition here? I'm not 96, it's 95, 95, right? What's the transition? I mean, first of all, I thought living in your car was tough. It sounds like some of your jobs on the ships were even worse. You know what I'm saying? So clearly, I mean, I understand things at an even higher level now of, the level of resilience you have for what you've gone through. Your parents, like my parents, blue collar work ethic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we work, you don't leave the house until your home is, you don't leave the house until your room's clean.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We don't buy stuff we don't have money for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get
Absolutely,
it.
exactly.
I get it. I get it. So, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, that definitely helps. And then we talked about this the other night on the phone, that we pretty much erased that from our children by by giving them everything. So we basically ruined that for them.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
kidding.
bad cycle.
I know it's terrible. So hopefully, yeah, I'm
It's all
kidding.
good.
Sorry. So we're with the new captain, and you've met your wife. And so how do we get into, of all things, credit card processing, by the way?
Wow. You know, here's the crazy part is when I wanted to get into the food service business, I never calculated I would meet a woman. And, you know, my wife, Sarah, she changed how my thought process was of what I was like, okay, wait a minute now. I think I found the love of my life. I think I figured out that I need to jump ship. And I said, you know, we need to jump ship. And all I owned at the time was a Harley. I didn't own a fork. I didn't own a knife. I didn't own a plate. We owned nothing. I had a Harley Davidson. I didn't even have a car. And I mean, we had like the cars that the owners had. He had homes and cars and boats and all kinds of stuff. So we just, you know, which car do you want to drive today? I want to drive the Lincoln. Okay. Oh, which one? Oh, you want to drive the Jeep? Oh, okay. I mean, it was crazy, and it was fun. You know, you lived like a billionaire. So here I am. I realized, okay, I've got to do a pivot here. What am I going to do? So we decided that I was going to jump ship, and I bought a truck to put my Harley in. We drove back to New York, and I was living at my dad's house with my fiance, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. So I got back into contract food service, and I was working for Service America, which is a contract food service company, and they had contracts with Con Edison. And I was now working at a nuclear power plant called Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant. And
boggles my mind.
Wally, I can't make this shit up.
No,
man,
I mean,
sorry.
Listen, I did a ton of research on you, and clearly I got some of it wrong. I apologize.
Yeah, I got to show you something.
Oh my God, I didn't even see that, for goodness sake.
Listen, I have this Post-it note thing, okay? This Post-it note thing, I'm going to show this to you. I got to pull one out so you can read it. Here it is.
Oh, it says take note of safety. Oh, and that's the logo from the power plant.
Yeah, it's the only thing I took. You know, it's probably radioactive, and it's probably making me crazy all my life. I don't know why I keep this with me, but
as a reminder of where you've come from, sir.
So
as a reminder of where you've been.
I'm at Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant. I'm driving back and forth. I'm going to the other Con Edison things. First and foremost, when you get approved to go into a nuclear power plant, they want you to keep coming back because, you know, you've got an extensive background check that they have to do on you to let you into this facility.
Right.
So I kept going back. It would take like 20 minutes to get in. You know, they had this puffer thing. You know, you had to get blown out, and they were checking for radioactivity stuff, and you'd walk through the metal detector going in, and then like, hey, you got to take your belts off. I felt like I was going through the airport before we had, 9/11. So it was pretty intense. So here we are. I'm living in Fishkill. My wife's working at the local mall, making ends meet. And this guy says that he could help us make some money on the side. And it was through, one of these multi-level marketing things. And then I kind of started trying to do it. And then I talked to this one man. What they do is they teach you how to peek people about, hey, would you like to make a little extra cash on the side? Blah, blah, blah. It's snowing. It is like 2 inches of snow. I had to get gas. I walk in to get gas, and there's this guy there. He's dressed really nice. He's waiting to pay for his gas. This particular place didn't even have pay at the pump. So, you still had to go in. I mean, people don't know that pay at the pump hasn't always been there. You actually had to walk in and say, hey, can I get $20 on pump number 3 over here? Right? Remember those days?
And sometimes it was only cash.
Yeah, cash. No
they
credit
card.
card.
Credit card, no debit card. Nobody had debit card back then. Everybody had cash or a credit card. That's it.
Yeah. You had an ATM card that you could go to the ATM and pull cash out, but it wasn't connected to. Anyways, I peeked this guy, And this guy turns out to be the general manager of the local Chevy dealer. And he looks at me and he says, I need you to come work for me. So that's when I quit what I was doing, worked for him for a little bit, and I was doing pretty well selling cars. And I was like, well, what else could I sell? And then I went into another car dealer, and I was like, Now, my wife's from Colorado at the time. We're planning our wedding to get married in Colorado. So I look at her and I go, let's move to Colorado. And she's like, yeah. So we moved to Colorado. I find this ad in the paper. First of all, I'm selling siding and windows.
That was a big deal back then. That was a big deal back then.
Oh my gosh.
Huge.
Here I was in my 20s, right? 20s. And it was 1997. I'm selling window siding. I'm newly married. And I was like, I got to make more money at something else. I know I could do it. I saw this ad in the paper, a little tiny ad, make 6 figures. I'm like, man, I want to make 6 figures. I call the number, and there's a guy. His name here is Jim McVicker. He lives in Dallas. And I call him up, and he says, you'd be good at what we do. And so I go, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. And I go to my wife. I remember where I was standing, and I said to her, I'm going to go to Dallas. I've never been there. I'm going to train with these people. And if it doesn't work out, this is the last time that you're going to hear from me about some crazy idea about this or that. Right. If it doesn't work out, I'm going to go and apply for a job at the Broadmoor to be a chef there. And she goes, okay. Because, the Broadmoor is a 5-star hotel in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
And I go to training. I'm working with this company. I'm making 6 figures. Doing a business consulting type business with this company. It's based here in Dallas. I'm traveling 5-6 states. I'm just driving to all these places. I'd go and see these people to show them how that they can have a way to sell their business confidentially. And I was collecting some money for them. I was doing a analysis of their business and their models and things. I'd spend 4 hours with them and never have to go back and see them again. It was really cool. I'm making great money, working 3-4 days a week. I was making all these, thresholds for sales, and I was winning trips to Italy and Canada and Mexico. Wow. And then the guy calls me up and says, guess what? You got to watch 60 Minutes on Sunday. And I go, wait a minute. What is going on? So the company's on 60 Minutes, and I'm like, well, how am I going to work at this company? He says,
not a good reason. For not a good reason, I'm assuming.
Yeah, not so good. Jim says, I'm going to get into the credit card processing business. And I go, you mean those stupid little credit card machines that are worth like $50? He goes, yeah. I went and interviewed with a fella in Denver, and he looks at me and he says, you're going to be the best person I ever hired. You're going to make more money than anyone has ever made in the credit card processing business, and you're going to work for me. And you're going to eventually be working inside. You're going to be training salespeople, and you're going to be running our boiler room. I'm like, wait a minute. This is all in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
A boiler room, by the way, is a very large phone desk where people are on the phone 8 to 10 hours a day, calling. You buy, great. You don't buy, moving on to the next person. The reason we call it a boiler room is because it's super tense environment, super hot, and they are literally just calling and calling. I mean, you are dialing all day long. Yeah. It's a big telemarketing. I mean, you're just hammering the phone.
Yep. We're dialing for dollars.
Yep.
Dialing for dollars.
Yep. You are smiling and dialing. Pick it up, talk it up, hang it up. You are bulletproof. Right. So anyway, I just want to clarify for folks that don't know what a boiler room is. So anyway, you were in charge of making it happen that day. Okay, right?
I was really enjoying what I was doing, actually. Right. But then I started realizing that I needed to do this on my own because my brain is not wired to work for somebody. I have no idea how it all came to fruition. But then Jim is like, so you're crushing it there. Why don't you come here to Dallas and we'll crush it together? So here I am, picked up everything, moved to Dallas. And
what year is this?
2000.
Okay. So you did that for about 3 or 4 years. Okay.
I was actually doing credit card processing in Denver for about a year and a half.
I meant to say you were doing the other thing for 2+ years, and then you did you did the business consulting, then you went to the credit card processing, and so now it's like 2000, 2001. Okay, right.
Yep. So we came here, and I'm doing the same exact thing I was doing up in Denver, only here in Dallas.
Mhm.
And we, had the boiler room training people to sell. And I just decided that, and first of all, 9/11 took place.
Oh,
And, oh, my lighting just went out.
you lost your
And
light there.
yeah, so let me get a wave here.
Oh,
There we go.
there you go.
And, technology, right? And wait a minute.
Sometimes it's your friend, sometimes it's not.
Yeah. Clap,
Yeah.
clap, the clapper. So
Clap on, clap off the clapper. Yes.
clap on, clap off. So here I am in Dallas doing the same thing, and I said, I got to go out and do something on my own. And one thing, it's amazing. My father, I don't think he realized how much he had an impact on my life in many ways. But the one thing that he did was he always said, people need you. And when you wake up and realize that, you go out and and you'll have tremendous success because people need you. You don't need them. And there was some truth to that. People need people, but I was that type of person that I didn't need others to really get out and do things and make something really work, really successful. I needed some people in my life to help because I know that we need to work together. And I found out other, obviously regular business practices. So I'm in Dallas, 9/11 happens. And then I'm like, man, this isn't good. And I just decided I was going to do it on my own. So 2000, I incorporated my company. 2001, I was basically on my own in the credit card processing business. Now we have had thousands of clients all over the country. We process hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of processing. I started doing on my own, looking to do the boiler room, looking at sales training and do all that stuff. And then as technology has evolved, I've been able to shrink the amount of people and make it a much smaller, efficient organization. And I have agreements with all these processors. So when you have agreements with the processors themselves, they've got staff there that we're in contact all the time to be able to make things happen for business owners. We have their customer service people if they want to contact them and call them. I find the exact product and or necessity for everybody through each one of these relationships that have happened over the past 23 years. And that's what makes somebody successful, is using tools and knowledge. And that kind of brought me to, so I've started working as a chef, private yachts, chef, homeless, private yachts, Mississippi, moving around, back home to New York, Colorado, Dallas. Here we are today.
Yep, and a better man because of it. And so, real quickly, people can get in touch with you by going to Swypit.com. They can find out more about your credit card processing. And give it like a 30-second commercial. You told me two things about customer service. You had a philosophy about customer service, which I really enjoyed. And then also just talk a little bit about how you can help people get probably the most competitive pricing. So just give us a 30-second commercial on that, because I want to get the folds of honor, which I think is important.
Yeah. So appreciate you asking about that too, because, like a lot of people just think that you can just, I'll go get a merchant account, and they sign up and they don't know really the ins and outs of this. This is really a very unique business. And when it comes to your money, you really got to be paying attention to who you're working with. I tell everybody you should be Googling them. You should look up rip-off report. You should look up for anything about them. You should Google the guy that you're looking to work with, because when it comes to your money and they're not there to help you, they might have been working at, no offense to this, but they could have been working at some car dealer last week, and they're just looking for a new sales job, and they're not going to be there in a year or so, because you need longevity. You have to have people that have knowledge and expertise. But 30-second commercial, more or less, is I'm Kevin Hodes. I've been bringing honesty, integrity to the slimy world of credit card processing for over 2 decades. And in those 2 decades, I've been able to become a 3-time best-selling author. We have Emmys, Tellys, XPs. I have spoken about credit card processing with ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, and A&E, and Bravo, and E Networks. And everything I did was through connections. And these people, they want an expert. They need people that know what they're talking about, that can solve their problems. You can get the cheapest credit card processing company, and they're probably not going to be in business. They're going to be gone. Everything you've seen that's ever been the cheapest never works out. And it always works out to be in the most expensive. You got to realize there needs to be a small profit for somebody to be able to still keep the business going. You need to find a fair company, not one that's taking advantage of you and not being there for you. And a lot of people forget there's two things. You can have price or you can have customer service. Which do you want?
Right.
Well, we're at Swypit, we deliver both. We're giving great pricing and we give great service. People have the ability to talk directly to me, and they can't even believe that they have the opportunity to talk to the owner when it comes to their credit card processing. We're experts in our field. I listen to what their issues and problems are. We find those solutions. We give them the solutions, and then we give them a better pricing structure that they were on. And now everybody's happy. They refer us to their friends, their family, their clients. We're 100% referral company.
Amazing. Amazing. And you built it that way too, which is great. Yeah, what do they say? Good, fast, cheap, pick two?
Yeah, exactly. I can never remember that saying, so I'm glad you said it.
I remember all the dumb stuff in the world. So let's do this. Let's talk about Folds of Honor. I mean, you've done a lot of things to help people. But you know, I'm gonna put the banner up there for foldsofhonor.honor.org. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's it. You know, here's the movie that we did that when you're the executive producer of a movie and it, you know, obviously get a couple Emmys, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So this movie and Folds of Honor. So here, first of all, let me explain how this all comes about. So there are people in this world that do nothing but take. And I believe that if you're in business, you should be giving back in some shape, form, or another. So the books, the movies, and nonprofit that deal with the fallen soldiers is really my area that I like to be able to help people with. So profits from my company go back to help families of fallen soldiers. The original organization that I was very involved with, I was on their board, was the American Fallen Soldiers Project. Now, I love them. I still, you know, promote them in ways. And the American Fallen Soldiers Project, if you're ever in my office, you would see that we've got a whole bunch of stuff here. You can go to my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and click in Swypit, and there's a video there that we did for my military appreciation night, because my military appreciation nights every year at the Texas Legends, which is the D League or the G League it is.
G League now, yeah.
Yeah, so the G League for the NBA team, the Dallas Mavericks, which is owned by Mark Cuban of Shark Tank. So this organization does a military appreciation night, and we've been their military appreciation night sponsor for the past 10 years, I think. And what we do is it'll say military appreciation night sponsored by Swypit, benefiting the American Fallen Soldiers Project. And then it transcended into Folds of Honor. And when we transcended into Folds of Honor, you know, whatever we could do to bring some sort of recognition, some sort of people seeing it, viewing it, you know, going to it. And then we go to Folds of Honor's big event that they do here in Dallas. And I just, you know, I think the families of the fallen, the Gold Star families have been kind of, you know, like you'll be watching the news and another soldier passed away today in Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever it was, right? I just think that they're not really paying attention to families and they get kind of pushed aside. So, you know, families from portraits being delivered on with the American Fallen Soldiers Project, or college scholarships given to disabled or fallen Gold Star family members through Folds of Honor, is something that's, you know, it's helping people. It's helping. And that's what we do. You know, Swypit kind of helps people. I make these coins. I don't know if you can see those back here. These are challenge coins. I'm going to bring a couple over so you can see them. They're pretty cool.
Yep.
I'll grab a couple here.
You got a bunch of them.
So, you know, obviously there's a whole bunch here. I make my own challenge coins, and I'll show it to where this was the commemorative coin that I did for 9/11 in 2011. So, of course, I'll show that to everybody to see it.
Oh, nice.
It's gonna.
Okay. It's not taking focus. Okay.
Yeah. It's looking for me.
I got you.
Anyways.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. There you go. Okay, cool. Nice. And so what do these coins do?
So they're They're challenge coins, and challenge coins are given. You're gonna have to Google it. I can always goof this up. Basically, it used to be that you'd go to the bar after your long day serving, and you would pull out a coin, and whoever put down a coin of the highest ranking official, I believe it is. Again, I could goof this up big time. And when they put down the coin, whoever has the highest ranking has to buy the beer, or they get the beer bought for them. But it became a pretty good thing that's transferred to business owners, making them for military people, and they give it to them. So I try to make a coin. I haven't done it in a couple of years, and I'm getting ready to do another one. But I do want to show another one here.
Sure.
So I have two of them. Let me see if I can get this one to show up.
There you go.
So I have two of these. These are from Medal of Honor recipients. That's the highest honor bestowed to a military professional. People say, "Oh, I won." Like people say, "Oh, you won a Medal of Honor." Nobody wins a Medal of Honor.
No.
And I hate when I hear that. "Oh, yeah, you won the Medal of Honor." No, nobody wants to win a Medal of Honor.
Tough trade-off.
They've received it. So, I like to sometimes correct people. Maybe they don't like it, but that's too bad.
Okay.
So I have this one here too. I'm going to show you. It's pretty cool. This one is from.
Oh, there we go. George Bush. Nice. The George Bush Institute.
I don't know if anybody's heard of George Bush, but he was one of our presidents. So listen, I've done some crazy things all over my life. I've been, through some really strange challenges in my life and everything. But at the end of the day, I've always helped people along the way. And it just transcended into business of helping people with, whether I'm giving a coin, whether I'm, giving away one of our new Swypit sweatshirts. That's our new logo this year. We're creating a whole new website. And, if I'm giving somebody a sweatshirt or a T-shirt, it's just, sure, it's swag and you give that stuff away. But you know what? People wear this stuff, and here, I'm really proud of this. I'm really proud of this. You may not be able to see it. Let me show you. But
what does that say? Read it for us. Proud supporter of military service families. Nice.
Cool. So, people, they'll see that and they'll say, "What were you in the military?" I say, "No, but I love helping families of the fallen."
And how long have you been associated with Folds of Honor?
Well, Folds of Honor, it's been a few years. American Fallen Soldiers Project's been like 2008 or 9.
Okay, long time. And people want to make a donation, they can just go to foldsofhonor.org.
They can go to foldsofhonor.org, or they can go to the American Fallen Soldiers Project. Whatever it is too.
And just to be clear, you guys give scholarships. The Folds of Honor gives scholarships to children of fallen soldiers, correct?
Yeah, family actually.
Family.
So it's not necessarily just children.
Wow,
so it could be a mother that wants to go back to college,
or may need to go back to college. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, we did this movie called Folds of Honor. Obviously, again, I'll show it to you. You can go and watch this stuff for free on Amazon Prime. So if you've got Prime and you look up Folds of Honor, I forget what it is. Oh, excuse me. And what will happen is you can watch the movie. It's about 90 minutes, whatever it may be. I don't know how long it is. I never timed it. But it's a great movie about how Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney was on a plane and he decided he needed to do something himself. He is still serving today. He flies planes. He's an amazing, amazing guy. And I'm fortunate enough to know him. When we made the movie, I'm friends with John Rich from Big and Rich in Nashville. And I said, "Hey, John, how'd you like to be in the movie?" He says, "Absolutely." Because he gives profits from his whiskey. So if you were to go out and buy Redneck Riviera whiskey, you're giving profits back to Folds of Honor. Very cool. I love working with people that love to give back to the community. I love, and every day in life, what we do is we're taking, and why don't we give back, right? Why don't we help others?
Cool. Well, speaking of giveaways, you got a couple things. You got some chapters from some of the book. You got some chapters from some of the books you've written in here. So this URL here, swypit.com/free chapters. You can get the Soul Success. Your partner was at Jack Canfield and Brian Tracy. Okay.
This particular book, if people are like, "Oh, I don't know who is Jack Canfield." Jack Canfield is the guy who created the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. So if you've ever read one of those, you'll know that Jack Canfield was the guy. And of course, this is the book, The Soul of Success, Volume 2, that I did a chapter in. And then this book right here, recently, this is the Performance 360. So if you look closely, I'll show you something real quickly. Where is it?
Can you tell us who's on there with you? It's hard to see everybody's face.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Holy cow.
So
wow.
Right above my finger there is somebody that just became an astronaut. And that's Sir Richard Branson. So I had the honor of co-authoring and being in this book. It's probably the only book he'll ever do. And you look,
nice.
I'm over there. Kevin Hodes right here.
Oh, yeah, I see. Nice.
One of those fingers.
Yep.
Anyways, the chapter in there is, helping others, being honest, having integrity. And of course, what people can do is I think I gave you that link. They could put it up there. Oh, there it is right there. I see it on the screen.
Yep.
So just click on that link. There's some free chapters there. You could read about different things. You can go to Amazon and get the books if you want. And then the fourth book I'm associated with actually just came out last week. Right. And that's with Brian Tracy. And of course, I did the Brian Tracy Maximum Achievement movie.
Yep.
I was the executive producer of Maximum Achievement.
Right.
Again, also on Prime. And you can read Leverage here. I'll be putting that link out and whenever I can get it. I'm sure I have it here somewhere.
No problem.
So much stuff going on.
I got you. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that was it. I think I've already talked about the books, talked about the movies, and I apologize for talking your ear off.
No, dude.
I'm here for you.
No, this is why you're here. We want to hear your story. I want to inspire people. And you're, like I said earlier, that you're super inspirational, despite the fact that you don't want to accept that piece of compliment. Right?
Thank you, Melissa, for the cup.
There's a very nice. So Melissa. So real quickly, and because you come from a place of generosity, anybody who sends you an email to info@swypit.com can get a book or a sweatshirt or
I'll send them one
piece of swag. Okay. So if you go to info@swypit, can they ask what they want for it? Is it just going to be grab bag?
No, if they want a book, say I'd like to have a book. If they want to have a T-shirt, I'll send them a T-shirt. They just have to give us their name, address, and I'll send it out to them. No strings attached. It's just
and their size.
While people can go to the Amazon and buy watch a movie and for free if you have Prime, or you can order a book on Prime or Amazon, wherever the hell it is, Barnes and Nobles, wherever you can buy books. If you contact me, I will give it to you for free. But what's important is that people need to realize is that I have never personally sold a book to anybody. I've never taken cash. If you were in my office, I would give you a book for free. If I saw you on the street and I had a book, a T-shirt, whatever, I just give this stuff away. I want to help people because people help people. And when you all work together, we all win. If you're just taking and you're a business owner and you're not, giving to the booster club, giving to the local cheerleader team or whatever those, things people contact you for, but find a venue that you can give to, right? Like mine is the American Fallen Soldiers Project and Folds of Honor. So when people hey, Kevin, I want you to donate to our, children's whatever advocacy. I don't know what it is. I usually say, I'm sorry, my area is Folds of Honor and American Fallen Soldiers Project.
You made a commitment to
that. That's what inspires me. So sometimes they're like, well, why won't you? There was this guy who called me, kind of made me angry, and it was something for cancer for children. And listen, I want to help whoever I can, but you can't help everybody.
Right.
And this guy was yelling at me on the phone. The kid's got cancer, and you need to help him. You can afford it. Wow. And I was like, wow. I think maybe you need to find yourself a new, new nonprofit, mental help or something. I don't know. But, you can't, just because somebody has the means to give some funds. Right. And, we have, as business owners, we just can't give everything to everybody. I'm not Melinda and Bill Gates.
Right. I gotcha.
Anyway.
So, no, I appreciate it. No, you've done a ton. I mean, listen, every time we saw each other at the networking events, you were super nice. We had some great chats. I love talking to you and your cousin.
Yeah.
And I just know that you've given at a high level to a lot of people. I know you're a generous soul, and more importantly, I just two things. Number one, you didn't give up, because there were tons of times you could have given up. I mean, there were many intervals where you could have said, you know what, I'm packing my stuff and going home, and I never thought I want to go home, but I'm going home, and you didn't do it. So that takes a tremendous amount of resilience and chutzpah, so to speak, and I love that. But the other thing is that, you're not at the point where you're like, hey, you know what, I've got to keep every penny for myself because I didn't have anything for a long time. So I'm just going to make sure I hoard it all and keep it all. You give your time, your energy, your money, and you've just been a great human being, if nothing else. So, I've enjoyed getting to know you. I like, the fact that we've gotten to know each other better, and I just appreciate you making the time today and sharing your story with people, because I know you inspired some folks today, and that was what was most important for me.
No, listen, you never know where you can inspire somebody.
Right.
And if this helps somebody be inspired to never give up and do the right thing or whatever it is, I'm glad I did that for whoever that may have been. I'll tell you something really quickly. Just this past weekend, last weekend, a week before, 2 weeks, whenever it was, I was out at a car event, and there's always these kids there, and they go, "Oh my gosh, can I take a picture with your car?" Right? And the parents are there, and I go, "Yeah, why don't you get in it?" And they're like, I can get in your car. I go, "Yeah, just get in it. You can't hurt it." And sure enough, you never know when you'll spark somebody, and that it'll give them the ability to go out and do great things in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the parents were really very appreciative. And
right.
I mean, I was 10 minutes down the road, and something on my phone popped up. On the side of the car, I have a little thing that says Swypit on it, just, so I could write off the car, right? I need tax deduction. So here's the parents sent me a message saying, "Thanks so much for letting our kids and us sit in your car. That was really nice of you." And I said, I just said, you just never know what will spark your children to be the next, even though what you're teaching them is very powerful, but you just never know what will spark them to be the next great thing. And, they could be the next astronaut. Who knows? I don't know.
The next luxury car designer, who knows? So, look, I for one am inspired by you, sir, for sure, no question.
Yeah. No, thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Anything else you want to share with anybody today?
I don't know. What do you want to know? I'm here for you.
I appreciate that. I just didn't know if you had any pearls of wisdom, but you've shared a ton today. But if you've got nothing, all right. Well, listen, I really appreciate it. Go ahead.
I will tell you that, having honesty, integrity, and doing the right things by people will always get you what you want. And if you work hard and surround yourself with experts that have knowledge and expertise, you can be super, super successful.
I love that.
And I have a real high level of, what is that? My work ethic and the way that, and the things that I do for our clients is the bar is high. So when I am working with somebody and I'm, paying them to do stuff, I also have a high level of
high standards. Yeah.
Yeah. And so unfortunately, sometimes I have to move to other companies for other things because the standards may have dipped and it's not the right time. And then I gotta, there are clients that I've had in the past that have left us, and unfortunately they find out that they've made a mistake, and they find that they've moved away from us, and that mistake was now their funds are being held and they don't have the money to pay their employees, their sales tax, their, invoices that they owe people money for. And they just think that all the people in the merchant services business are all the same, and they're really not. It's kind of like, if whatever it is that you do in your business, if you think that you're different, why wouldn't you understand that there are real experts in every field of every business of everything, and you just have to find them. And what, Wally, you've done today is you're finding the right people. You're looking for the right people to be putting in the right places. You wouldn't want to bring someone on your show that, was a scammer, somebody that wasn't taking care of other people. You're looking for like-minded people that will do right by their people. Correct. And, unfortunately, sometimes some of those people slip in and we get burned, but we move them out. We move them away.
Agreed.
One of the things I will give you is I'm going to close this out unless you want me to keep going, because you gave me a microphone and you gave me, I got a camera. We're like
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Give me one more, and then we're gonna go. One more.
Yeah. Here's the nugget that literally Brian Tracy and Jack Canfield have told me. These are two very influential, very powerful people. And they said, Kevin, you need to remove the negativity out of your life.
Mhm.
And if you can remove that negativity, you can be free to do the things that you need to do, because you're going to be so wrapped with that negativity. There's going to be so many people just dragging you down that you won't be able to be productive in your business. And so if I could tell everybody to be there that's listening, watching, whatever they're doing, however they're seeing this message, you really need to remove the negativity. And so I had some negativity here in my office, and I had to remove it. And it was very hard to unravel, and took about 8 months. And it was well worth it.
Nice. Good
Well,
advice. Very good advice. Cool. Man, so grateful you joined me today. Thank you for everything you shared. Most importantly, your time, because I know it's extremely valuable. Folks, oh, wrong hand. That right there is Kevin Hodes. Right there, that guy's Kevin Hodes. I'm Wally Bressler. This has been On the Phone. Hey there, this is Wally Bressler, and on behalf of my guest today, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this episode of On the Phone. If you'd like more information on how to overcome sales call reluctance, procrastination, and self-sabotage, and become an expert on the phone, go to www.phonesalessecrets.com. And if you'd like my free course on how to overcome sales call reluctance, please go to www.phonesalessecrets.com.